Greetings, science fiction and fantasy enthusiasts. Do you read books? Do you watch films? Do you hate deodorant? Then welcome to our podcast. You're listening to No Deodorant in Outer Space with Ryan Sean O'Reilly. Now, let's get started.
Ho, ho, ho. No. You've got to put a bit more life in it, sir. No offense intended. You've got to do a big fat laugh, sir. You've got to sound like you're pissing brandy and you're crapping plum pudding, sir. If you'll pardon my klatschen. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of No Deodorant in Outer Space. My name is Ryan Sean O'Reilly, and this is the second part of our episode on Hogfather. In this part, we'll be covering the film adaptation that was made by the BBC and directed by Vadym Jean. Joining me once again is Richard Mell.
Hey there.
Longtime co-host, and his lovely wife, Heather Mell.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you.
Let me ask you, we already introduced you guys last episode, but in this episode, you guys are recording outside, correct?
Yes.
And you're in Oregon?
Yes.
So paint the scene for me a little bit there. Like, I think I can hear some kind of ambience and stuff. Like, what are you guys looking at? Like, I know it's probably dark out, but I mean, what's the scenery out there that we're hearing in the mic? As I open
trees.
Guinness.
Trees.
Juniper trees.
Yeah.
Nice.
And do you hear the frogs?
I think I hear crickets. Maybe is there frogs? Are you guys near water?
We're by the Deschutes River.
Oh, the Deschutes. Oh, there's a Deschutes brewery, isn't there?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right down there in Bend, about a 20-minute drive.
Nice. So you're near the river. We're hearing some of the frogs and crickets and stuff, and there's trees over there.
Great fly fishing on that river, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Haven't caught anything yet, though.
Cool. Well, it sounds like a lovely place to live.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a quick trivia question for you guys.
Oh, God.
When is Hogs Watch Night? Do you know the date of it?
Yeah, December 24th.
No.
No, they have like a different calendar on Discworld, don't they?
It's December. It is December. It is in December.
December what then?
December 32nd.
Ah, I missed that one.
Yeah, oh well. All right, so let's go around the horn real quick here and everyone give like a one-sentence summary about their thoughts on the film. I'll start off things on this time, and I'm going to say that this was a lovingly crafted live-action adaptation of an excellent book, which takes the time to incorporate and translate all the nuances of Pratchett's multifaceted satire and philosophical humor into a visual medium.
Jesus.
Heather, let's go to you next. You didn't like my little summary there as you side throw it. What's your kind of one sentence feeling on watching the you said it's a 2-part series, but it was divided into 3 parts on Amazon Prime. So they're each about an hour, maybe a little bit over, a little bit less. So what was your take on it? And if you could just summarize your thoughts.
I thought they had a surprising amount of detail for what they were trying to encompass in the movie, or parts.
Good. Okay. Rick, what about you? One sentence summary.
Yeah, it was a surprising amount of detail, just misplaced. I thought it was distorted, filtered, sanitized for the capitalist world, sort of paying tribute to the overlords, the producers, the BBC. And I can't believe Terry Pratchett allowed this version of
he was involved.
His story to be.
He made a cameo.
He really?
He made a cameo.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I just can't believe it.
Oh,
wow!
Jesus.
Listen to that. All
it
right,
wasn't that bad. Good Lord.
Let's move into our bio portion. We can get into all the controversy that Rick is raising here after we talk about the director a little bit. The director for this was Vadym Jean. He was born December 9th, 1963. He's still alive today as of this recording. He also directed one of the previous iterations for the BBC of, I think he did Color of Magic, and maybe he also produced Going Postal, but he was involved with the other ones. We talked about him a little bit previously. I think Wilk did. He did like a real quick overview, and I don't have a whole lot to say about him, but I will note a little bit more detail about him than we covered last time. He was born in Bristol. He graduated from Warwick University. In a podcast interview that he was talking in, I guess his career was kind of described as hodgepodge. He founded a production company in 1989, which filmed stuff from anything from like corporate films to sports videos. His first directorial work was a 1992 comedy called Leon the Pig, which won him an award recognition and was about a Jewish estate agent who discovers, according to artificial insemination, that his real father owns a pig farm. He also had more critical success later on in 1999 with a film called One More Kiss. And Wilk mentioned this in 2004. His Hollywood debut was a film called Jiminy Click and Lollywood, which starred Martin Short. He did the Terry Pratchett productions between 2006 and 2010. And also in 2010, he did a passion project. It was a documentary about the Angola 3 called In the Land of the Three, I think, or The Land of the Free. It might have also had a title called Cruel and Unusual. He was asked to do this by Anita Roderick, who was a co-founder of the Body Shop stores. And he did this because he heard one of these gentlemen talking at her funeral, and she urged him prior to that to just do something about this. And it's about these three gentlemen who were Black Panthers and imprisoned in Angola prison. They were because of a death of a prison guard, which I think they were accused of. They were put into solitary confinement for like an ungodly amount of time. Like I think one of them was in there for like 40 plus years in solitary confinement. It's like unbelievable. So
what are you talking about?
I have no idea.
So he directed this documentary about this, and eventually, some justice came, and at least one of the guys got out. I forget what happened to the other two, but he's got a documentary about it, and he did some interviews. He did that in 2010. So in 2015, he made a film called, he was involved with a sitcom called Breaking the Bank, which it's a British sitcom, but it starred Kelsey Grammer, so it's a financial sitcom.
He's kind of British.
And then in 2016 and 2017, he worked on a short miniseries called The Rebel, which was based on a cartoon from Oldie Magazine. It was about a widowed resident of Brighton who's anarchic and anti-establishment pensioner. And in 2017, he worked on the British comedy series about Henry IV, who's going through a midlife crisis. The last thing I noticed about him was a quote in an article by The Independent where he was talking about working on Hogfather. And he said he was a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons. He played Dungeons and Dragons when he was a boy in Bristol. And there was a quote by him that I want to read that when he talked about working on Hogfather. And so Vadym Jean, the director, said, "I remember waiting for Terry's reaction to my first attempt at the adaptation of Hogfather. He sat in a big leather chair and said to me, 'It's very good because most of the words are mine.' I had successfully shoplifted the words from Britain's most shoplifted author and mucked about with them in a way that made the man himself happy. I felt like an unworthy guardian of his genius. What an honor." So obviously Vadym Jean was a big fan of Pratchett and was pleased to work on this in all three of these film adaptations. Although I think the new ones that are coming out, like on Good Omens, I don't think he's involved with that. I think Pratchett's daughter is involved with a production company that she took over after her father died. So I don't know if there's anything else you guys have to add about the director or no, or if we're good there.
No, that was everything I had in my notes.
Excellent. All right, so let's get into the film. So the film is called Terry Pratchett's Hogfather. It came out on Sky One in 2006 and starred Michelle Dockery, who is now known for her work on Downton Abbey. I think she's one of the leads, right, Rick? You were telling me about that.
Oh, Sky. Bought by Rupert Murdoch not too long ago.
Okay.
She is on Downton Abbey, right? You confirm that?
Downton Abbey, yes.
Yes, she is.
She is
She's the big bitch, and Rick hates her, and I like her.
Totally fitting for the role.
Yeah.
Prickly. There's no character within her. It's just complete, eyes glazed over.
So this film, it's pretty faithful to the book overall. So just some things about it to compare and kind of contrast it. It was produced by The Mob, which is a British production company that's known for making commercials, documentary. It also worked on all three of the other live-action adaptions of Discworld books. Some trivia I saw from IMDb and Wikipedia and this documentary about the making of it called The Full Hog. Pratchett got script credit on the film. He's credited as having mucked about by him. Storyboarding was done by Stephen Briggs, who was worked on the Discworld books, I think on the drawings of the maps, maybe.
Who was the key grip?
Who was the key grip? Don't know that.
Who was the best boy?
After filming his cameo appearance, I saw this on IMDb, Pratchett was stopped by customs at an airport in Australia because he had a large box of plastic teeth from the set. And this distressed the officials at the airport. And after he explained the situation, he pointed out that they should probably be more concerned about the large box marked Death instead. Death was voiced by Ian Richardson, who uttered a line, "You might very well think that I'd already thought of that, but I couldn't possibly comment." And apparently that was a reference to his catchphrase in the political thriller House of Cards, the British version. He died shortly after the broadcast of the film, and the DVD was dedicated to his memory. I watched in the making of it, they had a different actor play the physical appearance of Death, and Ian Richardson was the voice. And they had another actor who was like tall and skinny get in the costume. And they had some kind of trigger in his mask so that he could like trigger it with his mouth or something, and it would play the actual recorded audio that Ian Richardson said, like off behind the cameras. So the actors, when they were saying,
not confuse the actors.
Yeah, so they could like hear the actual recorded audio and respond to it. Yeah,
Wow.
Kind of cool. Another difference though with the film is that they cut down the Death of Rats character, who is in most of the book with quoth the Raven.
Oh,
but they cut him down to like one scene.
Good.
Quoth the Raven.
Yeah. He didn't really have much to say.
He just said squeak.
In the book. Yeah.
They also cut down the death of two of Tiataime's associates, and they focused more on the invasion of the Tooth Fairy's castle in more detail. It felt like, to me, overall, they gave more time to the quote-unquote baddies, so they got a little bit more explanation of what was going on with them. I also saw a little line that I didn't think was in the book, and correct me if I'm wrong, or a little scene where the kids, when they're not believing in the Hogfather, they catch their dad dressed up as the Hogfather putting presents. Susan's kids, who she's the governess over. They show in the background that the Hogfather card on the mantelpiece doesn't have a picture of the Hogfather anymore. It has a picture of the dad dressed up as the Hogfather. Did you guys notice that? Mm-hmm. I don't think that was in the book.
I saw it. I don't remember it from the book.
Yeah,
no.
I thought that was something they added. I actually liked it. I thought, I was like, oh yeah, that kind of symbolizes their lack of belief better. But you were saying, Heather, like, the details that they had in there, it's pretty cool. Like, when they did the Hexa computer, they had, the computer's made of all this crazy stuff. Like, one of the things it's made up of is an ant farm. And they have, like, a sticker on there that says Anthill inside, like a Pentium processor. And then when the computer's thinking, they have, like, an hourglass come out and show that it's thinking. I like, those little details were just great, I thought.
Rick especially loved when the pen went into the inkwell.
Oh,
yeah. The quill actually dipped twice into the inkwell, like you would sort of, do as an actual person, but it was a machine. It went in 2 times, like,
yeah, it was
just
like
to make sure it was charged.
Mm-hmm.
Those details they had. I mean, they also had the wizards on the back of one of their robes. It said "Born to Ruin," and apparently
I saw that's
actually a quote from the book Soul Music, which is another Discworld book. So that was like a little shout out, but it's also just funny on its own.
Yes.
The role of Albert, the manservant of death, is played by Sir David Jason, who played Rincewind in The Color of Magic, which came out later in 2008. He also
wait. Who played Rincewind?
Not
Sir David Jason, but like the character in Hogfather. I don't think
Albert, the manservant of death.
He was Rincewind? I don't remember that.
Yeah, he is. He just looks different.
I need to see that again.
Yeah. And The Color of Magic came out later. And he's also like fiddling around with rolling papers. I guess is that in the book that he smokes?
It is. Like,
it is.
Yes.
He's hardly ever able to actually roll a cigarette.
Yes.
Okay. And Nigel Planner is the one who played Mr. Sidney, and I guess he also did the audiobook narration for 21 of the first 23 Discworld books and some voices in the video games. The Tiataime actor, I saw an interview he did on the documentary saying that he based his voice reading when he did his audition. He had just seen Johnny Depp play the main character in Alice in Wonderland. So he sort of said he kind of like nicked Johnny Depp's take on that for this role, and he said he also threw in a little mix of Peter Lorre, and he said the director loved it.
When the kids saw it, they turned around and said that sounds like Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Or maybe was it Alice in Wonderland or maybe Willy Wonka? Maybe it was Willy Wonka.
Well, it's the same actor.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
It's Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand that because I associate Willy Wonka with Gene Wilde.
Well,
I'm like, what?
That's the old version.
Well, the kids like the new one, though.
Gene Wilder, I'm sorry.
Rick, you were a huge fan of Tia Timey. How did you like the actor's portrayal of him?
I was completely disgusted, let down.
Hated it.
What?
I really
Terrible.
was. Yeah.
Terrible.
It was fucking terrible.
And a lot of people agree. If you read the reviews on Amazon, a lot of people agree.
Really?
They love the movie. They hate
thought it was
this guy.
disgusting. Why did he incorporate an English dialect? Okay, this is a British actor who is playing this creepy-ass murderous role, and he just chooses to emulate Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka with an English dialect, or I'm sorry, an American dialect. Now, this is sort of like a tell of how the BBC just kind of brainwashes its British audience. And
Into hating America. That's what he wants to say.
Oh.
I'm not particularly patriotic. I'm not, but I mean, it's just not fair. This character is a British conception.
Wow.
And they assign it to an American dialect.
Heather,
Not fair.
why did you not like the character?
I did not. The way that the movie character portrayed
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Tea Time
Yeah, why didn't you like that?
is not what I pictured in the book. And when it's not what you picture in the book, it's always disappointing.
I can see that.
And if I read the book again, I would not have his voice in my head. I would have it the way I want it.
Really? I liked it.
I hate him.
I thought he was extra creepy.
You're the only one.
Apparently.
It was terrible.
It could have been creepier with the British dialect, but it was creepy enough just because of the choices they had made. I mean, that in itself was creepy, but it was just this.
I didn't picture him
horrifying.
talking like that. I didn't get the sense that he should be talking so slow. I just thought he was this big tough guy.
Oh, you thought he was
Instead
big? I thought he was described as boyish.
British PR.
Maybe, so I missed it. Fine, but
That was a bad reading on Rick's part.
no. Yeah, he didn't, and and of course I wasn't listening most of the time.
Okay.
So
Well, let me ask you guys kind of more of a general question about the story. What about the role of magic in this narrative? I listened to a podcast, I think it was called The Sewers of Paris, where a gentleman was talking about the books and how they're important to him growing up. And he said, he described the magic in the Discworld as not reliable. And I listened to Pratchett, his own interviews about magic, saying, he set out to make a ridiculous world sort of in response to this derivative fiction, but in a 20th century way. And it seems like there is... He describes this as a fantasy version of our world. There is a sort of logic to it, or a lack of logic, but, I don't know that people in the Discworld use magic to solve their problems, even though it exists. And there's different types of magic. Apparently there's wizards magic and witches magic, and then there's this old type of magic that we see in the Hogfather, where they're using like the children's teeth and all that. Mm-hmm. And you have all these sequences or scenes with the wizards. And the magic is like causing problems. They've got this crazy sequence with this bathroom, which was created by another wizard, that goes haywire. Mm-hmm. You get them making this crazy drink of sobriety. I guess that works. But what did you guys feel like the role of magic in this world, in this narrative? And how did you like how it was portrayed in the show or in the film?
I didn't get a real big sense of magic. I mean, there's the mythology of the Hogfather or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But no, the wizards really didn't necessarily even need to be there. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the banter back and forth, and I appreciate their what's it called? The kind of Alzheimer's-ish ness of
They're
them.
bumbling. They're kind of bumbling around.
And I would really just like to live in the unseen university and not have to go outside and just kind of walk around and say nonsense things.
Yeah, they're sort of like the epitome of like the academic ivory tower being insulated from the rest of the world. And I loved it when they're trying to come up with a spell and they're like, what should we do to get this sobriety? And they're like, well, let's just try mixing everything all together and see what happens.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I didn't think it was like as a good a portrayal as the actual banter and the energy that was brought into the book. I thought it was a little bit dull. I didn't think that the wizards were. They just seemed a little bit more set in their ways. They were all very much older, less energy. less eccentric.
Really?
I mean, yes, of course they're eccentric.
I disagree.
But I thought that the portrayal in the actual book was much more eccentric, and I'm just using my imagination to create that eccentricity. But they just seemed like they were in the movie with the excessive age. They just seemed a little bit more established and conservative and old and tired, and just when I picture wizards on the Discworld, I mean, this is kind of like a higher species of human. Okay, these guys are so energetic and so eccentric. It doesn't matter how old they are willing to sort of dance into anything, and just sort of and they're old, they're tired, and the fact that magic sort of confuses them, even though they are wizards, but they don't really let it slow them down. I mean, they are kind of browbeaten with the volume of knowledge that is required to do magic proper, and none of them know how to do it properly.
Yeah.
But you don't see that frustration and that energy in the actor's portrayal of these characters. It's just not there. I don't feel the magic
visually
there.
I disagree with you. I did picture them as old men, and I liked their deep voices, and
you picture them as old men,
some of their reactions and stuff, but
tired.
I do think maybe some of the back and forth and banter in the book was a little bit missing.
More lively. It's more lively.
It was a little bit quicker, I guess. Maybe I can kind of see that, but I disagree with you that I didn't like it. I did like the wizard's portrayal. I agree with Heather there, but I can see what you're saying about some of the back and forth that you got in the book was maybe
I just
missing.
felt more energy out of the book and the wizards out of the book.
Yeah. What was it called? Wow Wow sauce that they use to get the sobriety? The hottest substance in the universe or something, and it's like they're all afraid it's going to explode, and you can't even touch it when it's like condensing on the glass, but then yet it's made to be consumed.
Yes. Okay,
so the other thing I wanted to talk about is it's not so much movie specific, but there's these otherworldly places that get visited to in the story. There's Death's Domain, which is portrayed like all kind of black and white, although you see Susan in color. And then you got the Tooth Fairy Castle, which also kind of has more monochromatic colors going on and stuff. And then the Hogfather's Castle of Bones. I mean, I thought they did a pretty good job with the CGI and effects of all that stuff. I don't know what you guys thought of the production.
It wasn't annoyingly bad, no. Not like some other movies I've seen.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I think Wilk always was notoriously saying that he didn't like the BBC's production values when they made stuff.
Well,
I always thought it was pretty decent with these.
I mean, you could tell, but it wasn't.
Didn't jolt you.
It wasn't horrible.
It didn't jolt you out of the story. Mm-mm. The Tooth Fairy franchise, which is an interesting concept. It's these women become tooth fairies, and they go around and collect teeth and give money to the kids, like in our world. But it's all being run not by a head tooth fairy, but by a boogeyman, the original boogeyman, who has now sort of become soft and likes children and has decided...
Are you talking about the book, or are you talking about the movie? Because this is the exact concept in the book as well.
Yeah, no, it's the same. It's the same. I'm just talking about it now. And it's the same thing in the movie. There's the boogeyman who is in the secret room of the Tooth Fairy Castle, and you find out that the boogeyman's behind the storage of all these teeth, because the boogeyman now has sympathy for the kids after being the boogeyman for years and wants to protect the children's teeth. I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing that Pratchett's invented there, but it's very, I guess, typical of a Discworld scenario. I don't know what you guys thought of it. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was clever.
It is clever.
Yes, I agree.
But an interesting thing is, the Tooth Fairy Castle, no one can die there. That's what's said. Mm-hmm. And Death can't go there. And that's one of the reasons why Death needs his granddaughter, Susan, to go to the Tooth Fairy Castle to usurp the efforts of Teotime, who's carrying out the desires of the auditors. But yet, and I don't remember if the book was quite like this, but in the film, definitely, the Tooth Fairy has these guards. The Tooth Fairy Castle has these guards set about who the thieves continually are offing and killing. Well, they can't kill them, but they're offing them, and then the bodies disappear as opposed to remain there, and they end up in the Unseen University. They just sort of fall to the sky, and even Teotime ends up there. I guess that did happen in the book. I just don't remember as many Tooth Fairy guards, or was there even any Tooth Fairy guards in the book?
Yeah, there were a few in the book.
There was. So
there were some.
What is the
not as many in the movie? Yeah.
What is the connection between the Tooth Fairy Castle and the Unseen University? Why are the bodies all ending up there?
Well, don't they have some sophisticated equipment at the Unseen University?
Yeah.
I mean, from the other books that we've read, don't they have like this multi-dimensional apparatus that just sort of?
I mean,
they've got the
in
light
the book, they
fantastic
found
powers.
a random body on one of the roofs.
Yeah, and
Not at the university, just on a random roof.
oh, it's a random. Okay, because it happens in the university in the film, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so they make a stronger connection, probably just to keep it simpler in the film. Because I was like, why is all the bodies going to the Unseen University? I guess I get that the Unseen University is magical, and the Tooth Fairy Castle is maybe in the realm of magic. Maybe like that's why there's a connection. But otherwise, I was like, why is everyone ending up there? Except for it's just convenient to the plot.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know that happens in the book. From my
Okay, that makes
hearing
sense. Then.
of the book, yeah, no, they showed up because Death and Albert talk about, well, there's no footprints, this guy just landed here.
They discover it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
It's more random. Yeah. Okay, so then the film just kind of like probably made it simpler just for production reasons.
Yes, I would imagine.
Okay, so then maybe there's not like a strong connection there. I felt like I felt like the book explored the Hogfather's castle a little bit better. It was a kind of a cool thing they drew for it in the film, but the way that the Hangover god is introduced, I don't know, I like that better in the book.
Yes, that was much better in the book. You don't really get a good sense of exactly what he is or what he does or what his purpose is in the movie. And the little gnome isn't banging his head with a hammer either.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And they did have the Veruca gnome and the gnome who pulls your hair out, but they didn't have the gnome that's beating his head.
Yeah, which was cute and explain,
Yeah,
there's a purpose why I'm banging on his head.
Yeah, they did, and that character was better explained in the book. Yeah, yet they didn't cut him out. They included him in the film, but yeah. Heather, let me ask you,
What?
who is the Soul Cake Duck?
Isn't that like the Easter Bunny?
That's what I think. We never meet him, but I just love the concept.
I think Rick mentioned Easter Bunny, so that's all I can get out of my head. However, in Olympia National Park, we were at a campground called Soul Duck, and I don't remember what the name means, but
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Duck was spelled D-U-C, but you pronounce it Soul Duck.
But it wasn't the Soul Cake Duck.
It wasn't the Soul Cake Duck, but I feel like I've heard that somewhere else before.
Maybe in another Pratchett novel.
No. Well, that's possible, but I don't know for sure. Actually, you know what? I could just Google it right now.
Well, what else did you like or not like about the film? You were telling me that you said you read online that a lot of people like to watch this film every year.
Well, in the reviews of the film, there were several people that said we watch this every year, and it's funny that I've never really heard of it before, but yet so many people have.
It's such a season,
and they love it.
Yeah, it's such a seasonal film. Now you watched it with your kids, right?
Yes, they watched it.
And you were telling me that your kids said they want to watch it again.
Yes, at least one of them has requested to watch it again. That's interesting because there's no, not that they watch everything with cartoons, but there's no cartoon character-y kind of stuff in it, and the visuals are kind of dark.
True.
For them, and it's interesting that they would want to see it again.
Yeah.
Although they'd probably watch anything, but, well, they don't like what Dad puts on. They don't like Dad's movies. But
Rick was asking me before we started, this was my first introduction to Terry Pratchett. I watched this film years ago when I heard of him, and I hadn't read anything by him. I think it was on Netflix or something at the time for free, and I watched it and I really liked it. And then I didn't actually get the book after that, but I think I then went out and bought The Color of Magic to check that out. And I just really enjoyed it. And rewatching it now, I also enjoyed it. And I considered before rewatching it, I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch this every year around Christmas time. I'm like, maybe I'll try to show this to, my siblings and stuff. I wonder what they would think of it.
Yeah.
Because, it's like, oh, this is kind of like another Christmas movie, really. And maybe it's kind of a funny, fun film and adventurous and clever, and maybe other people will enjoy it. I don't know. I'll have to see when the holidays are upon us. if I can convince any of my other family members to check it out. And I wondered, like, my nieces and nephews, like, I wondered, like, if it would be too much for them, if it would be too scary. But you said your kids weren't scared of it, right?
Oh no. My middle child, who's 7, asked if there was violence in it, which there really isn't. I mean, tea time does stab a couple people, but you don't really see that.
Yeah, it's not really focused on.
It's something that kids could gloss over.
It's not bloody.
No, not at all. So that's the only thing he was really interested in.
And when those people die, they disappear. Their bodies disappear, and
right.
Yeah.
So it's like they could skip it quite easily. But no, for some reason they would like to see it again. So I imagine we'll be watching it again.
I think I heard the actor David Jason saying he wanted to make a film of family entertainment. I guess it really is. It's sort of dark, but yet it's not gruesome.
It really is. The visuals are dark, and I don't know that kids could really follow the storyline so much. But
what did they think of Death? What did they think of the character of Death?
My kids like the Day of the Dead and all of that. So they're not afraid of that kind of thing. They're not afraid of skulls and whatever. They didn't care. Like, he's probably the coolest one. They said, "Why does he have blue eyes?" Oh. That was their only question. So, no, I mean...
And he's not menacing other humans, really.
He's not. And he's very jovial, and he's actually kind of funny, which is one of the things I love about Death.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It is... I guess kids could like it too.
There's nothing scary about him. And then his purpose in this movie is to pretend to be Santa Claus or the Hogfather.
Yeah.
So he's actually doing a good deed, and
he's sort of in this absurd outfit of like Santa Claus and
yeah, and it's kind of funny just watching him, when Albert tells him you need to work on your ho ho ho.
That's true.
And all of that. It's funny.
I saw that the actor who played him was saying, like, when he put on all the robes and stuff, he'd get all sweaty, and he thought it would be real hard. But then when he had to put on the Santa Claus outfit, which was like 6 outfits almost on top of each other, he was like, "Oh, that was even worse."
Oh.
But yeah, that's true. Maybe I will try to see if my family will watch this and
they may, if they're open-minded enough to appreciate art. I don't know.
I mean, I'm trying to think if they would appreciate the humor of it, and like, even if they're not big fantasy fans, I mean, this is not like a Disney film, and it is a little darker, but
right.
I guess, it's clever, but it's got enough going on visually that kids would be interested in it.
Yeah, and I only fell asleep through one of the parts, I think. So, it was...
And that's probably...
It was enough to keep your interest, or at least mine.
Yeah.
Which can be difficult.
You did fall asleep a couple of times.
Well, yeah, but I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired.
She's a real-life mom, Rick, if you know that.
Yeah. Yeah, real, like, I do this for real. Yeah.
Jesus.
Did you guys feel like, and I guess it's pretty faithful to the book, but I almost felt like there's like multiple endings to this. I mean, literally, Death is like, we're not done yet. And then they go chase after the Hogfather hog, which I really appreciated that ending, but when I was watching it, it kind of was like, it felt like an epilogue or something.
That actually happened in the book too, Ryan.
Right. No.
So are we talking about the book or are we talking about the movie?
It's the same. It's the same.
Here's a difference that I saw in that scene when they're chasing down the hog who's getting chased by the wolves. Death, in the book, had to convince Susan, after a lot of contemplation on Susan's behalf, how she's going to sort of mount this hog form of the Hogfather. And she was actually quite scared for the very first time in the book. And she just sort of talked herself into it after, I don't know, it seemed like a prolonged period. In the movie, she just fearlessly just jumps on the hog. Like, it's no big deal. Not a big deal at all. It's just, it's very consistent with, like, this, the badass bitch, image that's just so popular. I mean, there's humanity in the book, and then in the movie, she's like this robotic heroine, something that my sensitivities were perked by.
Did you feel that, there was like something with her. Like I felt like she was more accepting of the belief of the Hogfather. I felt like she doubted more in the book. I think that's what it was. Does that sound right to you?
I think she doubts it, but she understands the importance of it for the children. She's watching out for the children.
But did it seem like she was a little bit different in the film? Like she doubted less in the film than the book?
Well, yeah, but they have to save time. I mean, you can't put everything in the book in.
Yeah, there's just like a little difference.
Yeah.
I guess my question, going back to what I was saying, Rick, is I know it was the same as the book, the ending, but did you guys feel like the ending like got a little long in the tooth? Or long in the tusk, as it were?
Oh.
That was a pune. That was a pune. I was making a pune.
Pune. No, I mean, I don't know. There's different time scales in the book versus the movie. The movie covered all of the different endings that the book included.
True.
It's just maybe because you knew what was going to happen, it was seemingly longer in the movie because it was just more boring because you were sort of prescient on what was going to happen.
Although I liked it in the book. I mean, Heather, do you agree with that, or do you feel like it...
I'm pretty sure the ending is around where I fell asleep, so I don't know.
So it's perfectly timed.
Yeah, I thought it was just fine.
Well, I guess,
yeah.
I mean, they decided to make a 2-part adaptation and make it, 3 hours, but I mean, they could have just decided to make a 2-hour movie and cut more out, right? I mean, that's like
and
something...
that would have been terrible because you could not have gotten enough. It would have been like the other awful 2-hour movies based on a really complicated book.
I mean, okay.
It would have made no sense.
For you, Ryan, you saw this movie without reading the book. How the hell did this movie perk your interest into getting into Terry Pratchett? Because, I mean, how did you make any sense of what was going on when you were watching this movie?
It was years ago. I don't remember, but I just know that I loved it. And
what made you love it? What were the aspects of the damn movie? What perked your interest?
I mean, just the absurdity of the world and the craziness of it was just very attractive to me. The humor of it, it was fantasy, but it reminded me of Douglas Adams, but a fantasy version, which Pratchett's been compared. That comparison has been made about him. It just introduced me to him, and I was like, this is fantasy, and it's absurd, and it's funny, but it's still respectful to fantasy. It's not just like making fun of it to make fun of it. It's making fun of it for fantasy fans or whatever. And yeah, I got the jokes.
It is unique in that way.
Yeah. I think this film does get it. And so I think that's what I saw. And I just remember, I think I just saw maybe I'd heard of him, and then I saw the picture of it, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then I was like, oh, I think this is something I'm going to like. And I'm like, yeah. And then I think
I understand that reaction. What the hell is this? Yes.
But then also, Rick, I think which we mentioned in the beginning was the attention to detail. When I saw it, like all the little nuances the effort that went into this production, you can almost, like I said in my quote, like it's in my opening statement, like you can see the love for the material.
It was a homage to his stuff.
Yeah. I mean, people I think who are fans of Discworld, kind of like maybe Doctor Who fans, they are fans of it. And probably the people who worked on this were like, oh yeah, I am going to work on this. It wasn't just like carelessly thrown together, whatever. And it wasn't just homogenized or whatever. It was like, it had the depth that his books have. And all the little jokes were thrown in there too, even the visual, And I think I saw that attention to detail, and that was appealing to me.
Yeah.
And knowing that books are almost always better than the movie, there's seeing the movie and liking it, there must be more.
Yeah, I mean, generally the books are better. I mean, that's what this podcast has shown, but not always. Not always. There's been times when that hasn't been the case. But yeah, when I went on to, explore them, I think, I felt it was there. Although I think I then, like I said, I went on to go read Color of Magic, which is different than this, but I think I enjoyed that. Yeah. So I don't know if that kind of cues you in. Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else that stood out to you guys about this production that you liked or disliked?
Okay. So the one example of justice in the movie was when Death, playing the Hogfather, stops his sleigh with Albert next to a like this homeless girl who is
The matchstick
seemingly
girl.
dying
Yeah.
on the stairs of some house or whatever out in the street in the snow. And he explains to Albert, like Albert says, you can't give her more life. So Death saw that her hourglass was running out of sand and she was about to die, and Death had reversed the hourglass and put more sand up to the top of the hourglass to give her a future, and that's the greatest gift he can give to somebody.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, there were multiple cases of Death playing Hogfather, giving to the less fortunate. Many, many cases. It's almost like what the book was about. It was the demonstration of social justice that Terry Pratchett, likes having as a theme in a lot of his books. But for some reason, they were only able to squeak in this 5-minute scene. It wasn't even that long in this movie, and it was just completely turned me off. It was a beautiful scene, but
Well, what about the
that's the only time they gave it.
No, what about they also did the Hogfather Grotto.
The Hogfather Grotto, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's as telling, though, as when Death and Albert are in a poor person's house, and Death is looking at the kid's list,
Yes.
and he's about to give him everything, and Albert says, no, you can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
And then he and Death start having a conversation about, why does the rich kid
Well, that never happened.
get
in the
everything
movie.
on his list,
That's
and
cut
why
out.
does the poor kid not get anything? That's cut out, and that actually was one of my favorite parts of the book.
That was the most explicit scene about justice
Oh, yeah.
and equality, and it was removed from the movie.
And Albert is kind of
Seemingly so detailed and wanting to include everything in the book. Well, they just conveniently exclude some of these important scenes from the book. And, it also conveniently excludes all of the beggars in the book, too. Why? Well, everyone would know why. If you're intelligent and you see media in general, it doesn't really like to demonstrate injustice, right? And the serving of justice. Because it doesn't really exist anymore, and it's something that seems to be discouraged as time goes on in this increasingly fascist capitalist world. So,
Can we go one
hated-
podcast
I hated the
episode
movie for
without
that.
Rick using the word fascist?
No. Can I go one day? No.
Classic.
no, the movie just pissed me off. My favorite characters, the beggars, were not even included in it. The favorite.
Find
the
something
scene
that doesn't piss Rick
where,
off.
where the
please.
rich people are happily
Please,
eating this,
and give it
this
to me.
French cuisine
Anybody?
full of old boots and roasted mud was not in the damn movie. I mean,
Rick
that was
wanted
the
his
best
roasted
scene
mud.
in the
He
book.
wanted his roasted mud, damn it.
He's
I
getting
want
it.
my roasted mud.
He's going to get it.
And his boot tongue. Well, it didn't.
And the British actor who chose to have an American dialect, while he's
He
playing
hates
this
him, too.
creepy ass character. Yeah, I hate
And
that
Susan.
kid.
Hated Susan.
And yes.
And the Wizards. Rick,
Just a complete fucking letdown.
you've seen the 3 BBC adaptions of Discworld books. You saw The Color of Magic, Going Postal, and now The Hogfather. Of the 3, where does this one stand to you?
Oh, dead fucking last.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
And I didn't think you liked The Color of Magic, or did you?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I didn't really like it that much, but this is worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
You see, huh? What do you see?
I see where you stand on things. Well,
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It was still entertaining, but
okay.
I mean, just on the principle of things, I just can't bring myself to say that I like this movie. It's just a cop out, Do I want to be entertained? No, I want to feel good. The movie didn't make me feel good.
Even with the ending, with the conversations about belief and the little lies. No, I guess you had problems
It's
with
just a
them.
bunch of bullshit.
Are you sure you were watching it?
No, I fell
'Cause-
asleep at the end.
Oh, did you? Oh, I thought you were on your phone at the end. Okay.
Same
Just
thing.
making sure you were paying attention.
Oh, we're getting into it now, aren't we?
It surprises me that Terry would let the movie happen the way it did. I mean, it's just not. He was knighted. He was probably paid some kind of stipend to be a knight, and he just got to sort of kiss ass from that point on. And
Really?
let the movie happen. Let it be produced the way it is.
Right.
This is his favorite thing to do.
Wait. I think he was knighted after this. Wasn't
No.
he? This movie came out. When did I say this movie?
2006.
Okay. I'll tell you when he was knighted. He was knighted in 2009. Nope, he was knighted afterwards. Your theory is null.
Then he was campaigning for knighthood.
He was an OBE in 1998. 1998.
I don't get the
for his
feeling
knighthood.
that he gave a shit about knighthood.
If he didn't allow these type productions to exist, he would never have been knighted, and that's, that was his aim, was to be knighted, so he allowed the capitalization
Well,
of
if you
his
listen to that whole thing that
stories.
Ryan was talking about, he was not interested in making his books into movies. So the fact that he was in this one and had a part in this one means he kind of signed off on
His
it.
blessing, sure, on the road to knighthood.
Yeah, Rick, if your eyes didn't glaze
don't
over
think
when I was talking.
What?
Well, I left,
Yeah,
but
I understand. Yes, he just wanted to be in a freaking movie. Okay, he's got an ego like everyone else does.
I don't think so.
Wow.
Not this guy, man.
You don't think he's got an ego?
Wow.
Come on. You don't think he's got an ego, huh? Oh, dude.
He could have tried to just cash in and make all kinds of stuff based on the Discworld. It seems like he was a little bit more protective of it, like he actually cared. That's the impression I get.
Maybe he wanted the level of detail. Sure. Okay. But the things that he seemingly holds near and dear to his heart were just lost in the movie.
Maybe
And that's just a cop-out to me.
You don't
maybe
think it's
you
just,
should see it again.
You don't think it's just a question of like the fact that you just can't have everything in the film? You're just gonna lose some
Oh,
things.
come on. We consistently see the movie translation from any book is like this sanitized version. Any kind of socialistic ideas that are brought up in any damn book are sanitized out during the translation.
But they have
to
the
a movie.
line about the matchstick girl dying,
It's a line. It's a fucking line.
So they still have that. Maybe
it's
they
a
just
3-minute scene.
Maybe they just felt like
And-
the beggar scene with the boots and mud was just like it was
It's
just like
not
a
a
joke they didn't need.
Didn't they show Death giving them the feast, though?
I can't
Or
remember.
am I not correct?
No, they didn't show.
Maybe
Death
I dreamed
giving
it.
The feast
Maybe Rick was on the
to-
phone at that part.
He probably was, and then I fell asleep.
No, it was completely lost.
I
in the
could have
movie.
swore they were sitting out in the snow, but maybe not.
And then you.
I don't remember.
Clockwork Orange guy with an American dialect prancing around like he's an American.
Well, that was just wrong. Yeah, we can all agree that was just wrong.
I liked his portrayal, but I mean, okay.
You're
No,
weird.
no,
You're just sick and
no.
twisted, right?
Well, that character was sick and twisted, and he was portrayed as sick and twisted. What's wrong with that? Well, I mean, I guess
Whatever you imagined in the book, it certainly could not have been the portrayal that was done in the movie. Although you have seen the movie before you read the book, so you probably couldn't help but.
true. But I saw it
fantasize
years
about.
ago. I saw it years ago, so I don't remember. I don't think when I was reading it now, I don't think I had the movie too much in my head because it's been some time since I've seen it.
It was locked down, dude. It was distorting your whole reading, so
I was just another sheeple.
completely biased.
Yeah, you were a sheep right there. That's what he's saying.
You're probably reading over the scene with the beggars and the poor boy who wanted certain things he could never get.
And I was
you
like, I
just didn't
can't
even
relate
know
to
you were
this. I'm a
reading that stuff.
capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I can't relate to
Right.
this.
Yeah.
You voted for Trump. I mean, it's just you're
Is that right? Did
completely
I?
tone deaf.
Did I? You were at the voting ballot with me, I see. All right. I think we're good with our conversation here about the film.
It's gonna end it now.
Why don't we go around the horn and give our final comments? Let's start with Heather. Heather, like, out of how many stars? Out of 5 stars. How many would you give this? And like, any final comments you want to make?
If Peter Jackson had done it, like it probably could have turned into 5 stars. But it's like 4, 3.5 to 4.
Okay. If you had to pick,
Because the level of detail is there, and I don't think you really need the book. If you watch it a couple of times, you don't really need the book to explain what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary. So I appreciate that, and it wasn't horrible. I'd watch it again.
If I had to pin
The
you
kids
down
are going to make me anyway.
on 3.5 or 4, which way would you go?
Ryan's got to use the
Oh,
computer,
Jesus, really?
and it doesn't account for half stars. So
No, you can do 3.5 or 4, but what would you do? 3.5 or 4?
dehumanizing your rating here.
No, just which one would it be?
For 2006 and the level of technological CGI they could use, okay, 3.5 or 4. 4.
4. Okay.
For today, with more, if somebody else redid it with the same level of detail and put in better graphics, not that they were bad, it was only a couple of the gnomes or something that you could tell was different. Maybe a 3.5 today, but I'm going to go with 4. Fine, 4.
Okay.
Fuck it.
All right, 4. Rick, what about you? Out of 5 stars, how many would you give it? And any final
Look,
comments?
they could have done this movie with absolutely no special effects, but hit on all of the important issues that are pertinent to a
What he
stratified
likes.
socioeconomic society, and I would have given it 5 stars.
But you're not.
The fact is, there's this is just a piece of trash. There's more.
The fact is he
there's
hates
more-
everything,
there's
and there's
more
a strong
beauty.
female character, which is even more aggravating.
No, I like strong
so he
female
fucking
characters.
hates it.
No, come on. There are instances where I like strong female
Really?
characters.
Where?
But, I see
Where?
more entertainment and beauty in what I can leave in a toilet bowl.
I don't. I don't. I disagree because I flushed that toilet boy when you've forgotten about it. Thank you.
Negative 27 stars.
There's no beauty there. No, you're full of shit. No.
Rick, out of 5, how many are you going to give it? Come on.
Negative 27.
No, he's full of shit.
Come on.
I'm not full of shit. I didn't like the movie.
So
Not
you're,
at all.
so you're going to give it 0?
Okay, so 1.
Especially
so say 1.
since they twisted so many things.
They didn't
from the
twist
actual
anything.
story.
You give it.
They didn't twist anything. You have to condense a very
Okay, twisting is the wrong term.
uncondensable book
It's the wrong term.
And they didn't
into
omitted-
3 hours. They gave it 3 hours.
They
Come
omitted,
on.
They did.
They omitted key
3
scenes.
hours they gave it.
They
That is
omitted
unheard of.
They omitted my favorite scenes.
Oh.
Yeah, but I
He's
mean, it's
taking
only
it
like
personally. That's what he's doing.
it's only like
It's
a couple
personal
things.
rating. It's
only a couple.
rating by me.
But it's only a couple. It's only a couple scenes they admitted. I mean, omitted. They didn't omit that much.
So you gave it minus how many stars?
27.
Nah.
27. Okay, well, I get minus 26 stars, so that should tell you something.
There you go.
There you go.
Why are you mad at me? Why are you so mad?
Because you're ridiculous.
So Rick,
You're just
That's the point of this
that is so
podcast.
typical.
Rick.
Oh, God.
So you.
It's just as ridiculous as the fucking story is.
Yeah, and it is as ridiculous as you are.
Rick, you'd
That's
really
fine.
give this 0
That's
stars.
fine.
You'd really give this 0 stars the lowest rating you'd
Seriously?
give anything.
It's the lowest rating I'll give anything.
Really?
Wow. Wow.
Look,
of all the shitty
these-
things
these
you guys have
BBs
watched and read on this
you're getting
podcast,
so mad.
it makes no sense.
I should be the one that's mad. I'm giving something negative 27 stars.
And that is stupid with the bullshit that you have read and watched
No, but
for this
this is very
podcast.
this is very
the
consistent.
worst you've seen.
This is very consistent with my other ratings
unbelievable.
of the BBC productions that we have experienced.
You just hate British people.
No, I don't hate
Yes,
British
you
people.
do. Yes, you do.
It's
yes,
the
you
damn
do.
brainwash they serve up to their
Yes.
population.
Oh,
That's why
yes.
they're just-
Yes.
The British
Yes.
conspiracy.
It's not
It's the
people,
British
it's the
conspiracy
production.
is what it
It's
is.
the game.
I love the
I
BBC.
love the players. I don't like the
I
game.
wish there was only the BBC.
I like the BBC productions a lot too.
I watch only BBC.
Yeah, BBC.
All right. So, I will give this. I'm going to give it 4 stars.
I agree.
It's not.
Cop-out.
It's not.
No.
What did you say, Rick?
Such a cop-out.
No, don't
I liked it.
listen to that
I liked it. I'm
nonsense.
considering showing it to like my siblings and stuff and their kids. So I mean, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I liked it. This is the first introduction I had to Pratchett, and I enjoyed it. It inspired me to look more into him. So I would recommend this.
And that's exactly what it should do. It did its job. It got someone to take a closer look.
Yeah.
There you go.
I agree. All right. On that note, I'm going to invite everyone to go visit our website, nodeodorant.com, www.nodeodorant.com. You can subscribe to our podcast or write reviews on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, pretty much all the places you can find podcasts, including YouTube. Got a Facebook page. Like our podcasts, Write a review. Tell us how crappy we are. Or
do I have to like it? Am I supposed to do that?
You could,
you already?
if you want to support your husband. That'd be a nice thing to do.
Haven't I already forced you to like it?
No. Are you serious? I don't agree with anything he says.
Oh, okay. Maybe you'll dislike it then. But
All
until
right.
then, from Chicago and Oregon, we will say
Good night.
good night and happy Hogs Watch.
Yes.
All right.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode, or to read our show notes and find us on social media, visit nodeodorant.com. For more information on Ryan Sean O'Reilly and his various works of fiction, visit ryanseanoreilly.com. The theme music for this podcast was written by John Doyle from the band I Decline. You can visit him at i-decline.com. Voiceover for this podcast was provided by me, Margaret O'Reilly. Well, that concludes our episode. We hope you've learned a lot. Again, thanks for listening to our show. And always remember, there is no deodorant in outer space.
All right. Test. And by the way, your microphone is picking up all kinds of bumps, just so you guys are aware.
It's from the table.
Yeah. Do you have an ashtray on it or something?
Well, no, we have our elbows on it.
Oh, maybe don't even touch the table.
Okay.
If you
The chairs are also connected.
Did you hit record?
Looks like it's going. Did you hit record? He says yes.
That's yes? You got two different WAV files?
Yeah.
Okay. Rick, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still live over there?
Yeah, it's like fucking, what is it, like 2 o'clock?
No.
No, it's 1 o'clock my time. It's like 11 o'clock your time. Or
Kids are still up.
Yeah, the kids are still up playing video games, just so you know.
nice. All right, in 5, in 4, in 3,
Don't
in
touch
2.
the table.
Yeah, Rick, try not to touch the table at all. It's like picking up every noise.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right.
Midnight snack.
Oh, family's awake. Still.
Oh, yes. Midnight snack. He needs a banana. Can you open his banana?
I think you can handle it.
All right. He'll use a knife. It's okay. He's going to use a knife. He's 7. Oh, the 6-year-old's going to use a knife, too.
The 6-year-old's gonna. The 7-year-old will supervise.
Yeah. They're good. They got it.
I'm gonna open all of this.
Oh, I have to open it all the way. Just a moment. There we go.
We can pause for that. Let's make sure
Banana
everyone
peeled.
make sure everyone keeps their fingers tonight.
Yeah. No, it's fine. They're skilled with knives. They're fine.
Okay. Well, I assume it's Rick.
No, you're wrong.
Is it you, Heather?
It's not me.
It was whatever. Whatever made all that noise.
Whatever was doing it.
Whomever.
Yes. Something like that.
Is someone being hurt,
Yes.
hurt in the background?
No, they're trying to get a glass of water, and now he's banging on the counter.
I gotta fix this.
Okay, go ahead and handle that.
Hold on.
It's to the point where we're definitely hearing it.
Yeah. Let Dad fix it.
Have some serious discussion about water over at the Mel residence right now, so we'll just put things on pause. You guys can both just turn on the video of the laptop, and I can take a picture with the laptop in the background, and the light of the laptop will light up your faces with the book.
Nah, that's horrible. No.
Well, then I can. It's like a demonstration of
No, that's bullshit.
this. Why?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about what?
Well,
Brian still wants our fucking portrait, like, in front of a fucking blue screen.
now.
oh, I feel like I'm one of the kids. Is she going to send me to bed now? That was the mom voice.
Oh, okay. The movie was fucking great. Good night. 5 stars. Okay, go.
Oh my god. Okay, and welcome back to another episode of No Deodorant in Outer Space.
Christ.
All right, is everyone in bed? Everyone has got their banana and water? Or what?
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
All right. Well, thank you for coming back, Heather. I appreciate it.
Yes, it's my pleasure. My very large pleasure.
Here comes Reagan.
Oh, let's pause again.
What is going on?
This is a live update from No Deodorant in Outer Space. There is some kind of chaos going on over at the mill residence. Possibly the Hogfather has decided not to visit the mills.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing, Ryan?
You can lay in my bed. Go lay in my bed.
Nobody got their Hogs Watch presents.
All right? And stay away from Ricky.
I don't know. Things have gone sideways.
Well, they're tired.
Yeah, it's late.
It's fucking midnight.
Yeah.
It's almost the witching hour.
The witching hour.
God. When is it gonna be Monday morning? Please. Please. Fucking Monday morning.